Welcome to the Pearls of Wisdom podcast, brought to you by Southern Jewelry News and Jewelry Store Marketers.
But let me tell you what I think about this jewelry now. Now, Doris gets all caught up in like the color and the cut and all that stuff that you have to remember. And I'm just like, look at the dang piece of jewelry, and if it's pretty, buy it and wear it, you know?
Yeah.
And if it ain't pretty and you don't like it, why buy that?
Right.
Don't buy that. Buy something else that you like.
Yeah, you have to be in love.
Yeah, the jewelry's got to pick
you love
you
it,
out.
then buy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think
You know?
Darla really could help with that.
I think I could.
Instead of getting all business-like with it.
Yeah.
Darla is like, look, this is, you could
It's a party all the
it
time.
could be a home
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest, one of the things I keep telling Doris and Darla, is that the personality, that's what people are going to love.
Yes.
You know, because a lot of the information, there's a lot of that same information out there. But
True.
having that personality really going to make you stand out. And she wasn't sure. She was like, oh, I don't know. And I said, oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
No.
girl.
She
Oh,
needs help
yeah.
with her website. I said, I'll do that. But this is what I'm excited for. I want there's going to be videos with the
She's
Darla.
going to go viral.
Darla Doris.
She is
thing.
going to go viral.
Oh,
I
my
want y'all
God.
all to remember
Yeah.
that name, Darla.
I'm gonna have to buy some new clothes.
Diva Darla.
I'll buy some new clothes if I'm gonna be on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the beginning of doing leadership training and management training, one of the hardest things to talk about or to sell the training that we do is people think, well, I can read a book, or I can listen to a podcast, and I'm good. It's almost that we think that leadership is this thing that I absorb through osmosis. I learn along the way, and so it's I'll get it as I go.
Right.
Really, the reality in the research over the last couple of decades in particular says no, great leadership is something that you learn. There's skill sets involved.
Right.
It's understanding how people operate, how we communicate. There's actual disciplines that you can follow. And so for me, leadership has always been something when training that it should be very pragmatic, very practical and accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I don't hear people coming to me saying, I really want to work on my leadership.
Right.
That's really what I want to work on. Even I don't do that, and I need to continually do that.
Yeah.
But what I usually hear is people come to me going, man, I can't find good help. It's driving me crazy, and I can't keep good help. I'm working like crazy, and I'm exhausted, and I don't have time for my family. Right? I'm barely keeping the business together. How can I afford to hire new people when I'm trying to keep it together now? Right? These all have solutions to them that can all be answered through proper leadership and management skills.
Right.
So usually that's the end point. And once you give someone a taste of how they can create their own solutions to their problems, then they start to understand, well, if I keep training in this area, if I keep sharpening my skills in this area, what else can I accomplish?
Right.
And that's, I think, hopefully the gateway to letting people know that when you start working on leadership and management skills that are real tangible, real practical skills, it's sort of this exponential investment where the sky is the limit on what you can accomplish, right? But it usually starts with a singular problem we're trying to fix.
Right. So when there is great leadership in an organization, what's typically the result of that throughout the organization? Bigger, higher sales, long-term employees. What do you typically see in terms of great leadership equal to what?
Well, that's a big question. So let's I'm going to unpack a little bit of that first.
Sure.
Let's talk about those words. What's good leadership?
Right.
We talk about this in a course that we have online. It's actually free for anybody who wants to go check it out on trainretailmanagement.com.
That's
we
great.
have 3 courses that are free for people to start learning this stuff. In one of those courses, we talk about leadership. I say leadership, this is an old John Maxwell quote, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less.
Good.
Right? Now, you can have good influence, you can have bad influence.
Right.
You can exert yourself onto people and drive them, and that's influence. It's just not great.
Right. Yeah.
In the course, I say good leadership what makes for good leadership is when we're outward focused. What makes for bad leadership is when we're inward focused, when I'm thinking about what can I accomplish for me? What's in this for me? How do I make more money? How do I get more time off? How do I improve my quality of living? So it's all about me. And who wants to be around someone who's only thinking about themselves?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So good leadership is outward focused, thinking about how can I make my people great?
Right.
How can I take that person who's a good salesman and train them to be a great salesman? How do I help my bookkeeper go from being pretty good to being superb, phenomenal, the best there's ever been, and I want to work with them forever, right?
Yeah.
So good leaders are always thinking about others. And I think that's where the answer to your question comes. What's the result of good leadership?
Right.
Well, imagine a workplace where people actually want to achieve, where they feel empowered,
Exactly.
where they're excited to take on big projects. So yeah, you're going to have profit, and yeah, you're going to have growth, but you're going to also have people around you who are excited about that. And ultimately, you get to decide, how much do I really want to grow? When do I want to stop growing? What do I get out of the growth that we achieve, right? These are deeper questions that we can answer through leadership and empower people to do amazing things, innovative things, right?
Right.
But it starts with thinking outwardly.
You can't just build 50 years of trust and, there's some jewelers that are newer, right? What is it that anchors Holiday into the community or to your customers?
We're family. We're family. I think that the biggest trust builder and where we've done such a stellar job is in our repair department. Repair is completely trust based.
Yeah.
And we have just an outstanding repair department.
So just be amazing. Oh, it looks
Yeah.
like you guys got
That's
that down.
it. That's all.
Yeah. And
Drop
none of
the
us do
mic.
jewelry repair.
Nope.
We get guys for that.
There's
And then
not a
shrink-
goldsmith here.
Them trinket boxes, though.
And trinket
Yeah.
boxes. Yeah, that drives it.
I mean, we do glue in an occasional stone on a trinket box.
Okay.
It's fascinating between the different sales associates. It's kind of funny. With me, it's particularly watches. Whether it's a watch band or this guy came in the other day and I literally trimmed down a leather band to custom fit his silly little stainless steel buckle that he had, but it was really sentimental to him. You'll see any of our associates and any of our employees dedicating an excessive amount of time to a task that doesn't really benefit the business financially. We are incredibly caring and service oriented towards the people that walk in those doors, irregardless of who it is and how we're benefiting from it. So
Right.
I think that's something that's really strong amongst our people and our culture as well.
You're going to leave our store as a friend and in a great mood. That's
our goal.
That's the goal anyway.
No one's going to leave upset.
I had been fabricating and carving wax and doing all of what we used to do back then. I was pretty good at doing all that. I saw Matrix at a trade show. And at the time I was like, if I don't learn that, I'm going to be obsolete, And that was in, late 2003. And I was blown away with it. I was blown away with, the possibilities of it. For me, it was incredibly difficult because I wasn't a computer guy by any means. Didn't know how to turn a computer on, and it was a daunting task to start looking at trying to learn such a massive program. The people from Jim Vision, I used to tell Jeff all the time that he hired the absolute best people, and it was one of the secrets to his success, in my opinion. The guys, the programmers, the people, the personalities, everything is what went together to make that program what it is, or what it was. It's kind of interesting when you stop and think about it. It's like, I can't say enough good about Jeff High, because here was a person, and people had tried to make a CAD program, and there were some CAD programs out there, but they just didn't quite, do it to that level. But when Jeff started, he not only came up with a CAD program, but a way to translate that into a wax that was usable by using the Revo mill. We had fun making jewelry, and it was for the pure pleasure of just making wonderful jewelry. We would make jewelry, we would order a pizza, and we would do this, pretty much all day on a Friday. And, sometimes it would go into, the late hours of just sitting around and making stuff. We had several 3D printers, and we would print stuff and then cast it, finish it, would set diamonds in it, or we'd texture it or whatever. And then people started noticing this jewelry because Jamie would wear it, or Robert's wife would wear it, or whatever. And then people are like, man, this is really fantastic, and they really liked it. And Robert came to me and he goes, you and I should partner in a business together.
So, one of the major things that comes to mind for me is community involvement. We're always willing to try something new, whether it's an event or a marketing, strategy. For Black Friday and Small Business Saturday, we offered 60 months at 0% for the first time ever.
Yes.
And it generated a sizable chunk of revenue over 2 days.
Yes, it did. Yeah. That was really an incredible response. We didn't quite know what to expect. And we were a bit nervous because it's not inexpensive to offer that. But it was received incredibly well. Numerous, again, fairly substantial purchases that were made due to offering the 60 months at 0%. So number one was by far social media. We did a Facebook ad campaign surrounding the Black Friday Small Business Saturday. We also did do radio, and we also did direct mail. So we did a postcard.
And in-store promotion too. Like I helped one customer, and she was like, oh, I'd love to have, it was a 3-carat lab grown diamond. She's like, I'd love to have that in a 3-stone. And I'm like, sure, you can have it, and it'll be 60 months at 0%. She was like, okay, I'll take it. You have to change your mindset on this, especially when you do a lot of financing, and which we have started to do. It's not costing us anything because the money was never ours to begin with. So you're just taking a margin. Yes. So obviously with Synchrony, you have different programs that you can offer all the time throughout the year. But 60 months is one of those that you don't overdo. Any random day, it'll be 6 months or 12 months at 0%. And then when Synchrony rolls out some other programs, we actually switch to 12 months at 0 and 18 months at 0.
Got it.
We had that, kind of mentality, right, coming into it, as to how important it can be. And so that helped us, I feel like, kind of understand and embrace it as much as we can.
And that's the one thing we don't push it. We don't shove it. What we're selling is jewelry, emotion, happiness. We just use the financing as the vehicle to get us there, or the vessel to get us there. That's the biggest difference that in our business, what we make sure we don't do is shove credit.
We are definitely really diving in and embracing more digital marketing, especially Instagram.
Great. And we tested Google Ads. You kind of alluded to it. It's all about getting into the room. You don't have to know what you're doing, but get into that room and figure it out.
Amazing thing. I know we talked about this last time, but I just can never get over saying it enough, is we're in such a special industry that all the other jewelers want to help all the other jewelers avoid the thorn. And teach and say, hey, we did this and it didn't work, or we failed here, or this has been super successful. And man, if you're a jeweler out there and you remotely feel alone, you should not. You just need to pick up the phone, call us. We can give you the name of tons of other jewelers that would be more than thrilled to support you and be there for you and help you. It's just, we are so blessed in this industry.
We just celebrated 70 years in business. We just feel really fortunate, and so we're ready to crank it back up for another 70 years, Guy.
Wow.
Happy anniversary, 70 years.
One of the interesting things is I have a lot of 70, 80, and 90-year-olds that will just come in many days during the week, introduce themselves to me and say, I know you don't know me, but I know your father, or I knew your father. And the first time I got credit in my whole life was from your dad. It was very important to me when I bought the business from my dad that we continue to be involved in the community. And I refer to it as hugging the community. These people have taken care of my family and all my employees for the last 70 years. Life is not one way if you want it to be successful in friendships and relationships and in business, but we need to be more involved. And I wanted an event, something that we could do for the community purely to give back. And so this consultant was throwing ideas out, and she mentioned something to me about having some kind of design contest. And it was very important to me that we impacted the most students possible. So we chose public schools. We want to give students an opportunity to design a piece of jewelry, and then we're actually going to make it and present it to them. And what we did was we broke it down elementary, middle school, and high school. So we have 3 winners every single year. Every year in late January, early February, we send out this mass mailer to the school system. It gets into the elementary schools, middle schools, high schools. And some of the art teachers will use this as the project for that semester. Or we even had some of the high schools that were doing CAD work and teaching the kids computer design. They used that as a project. We'd pick a winner from each category. Now, what we've done now is we've expanded it to social media, where we pick the best 5 from each category, we put it up on social media, and then we let the community vote. The goal for me is that these children get to use different skills. You will see that some of these kids have used rulers and graphs, and they're using math and spatial skills and color skills. Some of these kids are like labeling the gemstones. A lot of the children, and this is amazing, will have stories behind them, and inspiration. Like some of the kids will say, if I win, I'm giving it to my mother. If I win, I'm giving it to my grandmother. Or maybe they had sometimes a relative that had recently passed, and they said, I'm doing this in honor of my grandma, and I'm going to wear this if I win it. And when they say that, I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, I wish I could give it out to 50 kids. It's hard. Yeah. These kids are all amazing, but also it's a confidence builder. Oh, yeah. There are a lot of children that win this contest that have never won anything. And what I hope is it's going to propel some of these kids. Whatever they choose to do, they're going to say, you know, I did that design contest with Mr. Dan at Ellis Jewelers, and I won that. I'm going to go and apply for this job when I graduate from high school. Like, I'm going to try stuff because I tried this and I was a little nervous, and now I got confidence. I always told my children, I said, you can do anything you want. You just have to figure out what it is that pleases you so that most days you can get yourself out of bed and pay your bills.
True.
And they've met those requirements. And so they're doing their own thing, and I'm happy with it because what I do, retail is not right for everyone. Right. You know, it's you got to like being with people every day, and you got to like dealing with lots of different situations and lots of change. And I love it. And I thrive on it. And I'm very lucky that my parents gave me this opportunity. But it's not the right thing for everybody, so I never pressed it on my children. My dad never pressed it on me. If you are in a business, and it doesn't matter whether it's jewelry, but if you expect to be part of a community, you got to be in that community, and you got to give that community a hug. And you can be good with numbers and be a good buyer, and you can be a graduate gemologist, but you have to have sensitivity skills and people skills and human skills. And to me, this is the best part of the jewelry business, to be involved with this community and again, just to hug them back, and they hug us back. People need somebody to tell them, you know what, you're a capable person. I see that you're capable. You can do this. Go out and try stuff. Yeah. It's all about relationships with your community, with your clients, with your employees, with people like you in the industry that we're sharing ideas all the time. I don't make every sale in the store. I have a great staff, but I'm listening and observing. And I can't tell you how many people come in and say, I wish we had just come here first. This is a great time for independent businesses, especially independent jewelers. I hear people saying all the time, this is the other mantra, I am here today. I read your Google reviews, and I consciously decided I want to deal with an independent.
That's good.
I want to go somewhere where somebody is really part of this community. So I would say join the chamber, get involved with this kind of thing, and you'll learn more about your community and your customers and what goes on in your community. I just think it's huge for the success of any business. And you don't have to do everything, but pick something, plant a flag somewhere, and get invested. And people have to know that you care. Right. Once they know you care, then they're willing to be receptive to your message. Right. They have to see that you are a real, normal human being. You have to share your life with them, and you have to want to listen and be empathetic. Yeah. Besides the community involvement, just be a decent human being. And they are professionals. Yeah. I mean, my staff, they're nice, they're friendly, they're educated, and they're good listeners. And it's a certain skill set, a unique skill set that not everybody has. Not everybody can be a jewelry sales professional. Right. The nice things about the independent jewelers in this country is most of us want to share and grow. And so it's so nice just to collaborate a little bit. This is a great break in my day.
Right. You have to create an emotion. Exactly. You have to draw them in. And I think that's one thing we've all forgotten behind the counter. Right. We're not just taking payment. We actually have to create that story. We have to make them want to come back. And with this pendant and the whole package with it, that was my whole reason for it.
Exactly. And that's why RDI is so cool, and they do such an amazing job. There's a lot of mega fans out there, and congratulations on such an amazing launch, and looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of the work that we all put in, including all my employees, and most importantly, my family that supported me.
That's fair.
I mean, my true compass is my family.
Absolutely.
And I built my business on those values.
Yeah.
And I was always the one that, looked at family first. And I incorporated it in my business as well, which means my employees are part of my family, along with my customers. I really, truly believe in always trying to do best by our customer and our employees. And that's always been the only way I would work. I mean, I can't think of another way other than just having, a compass of always going first, always for customers and employees.
Yes.
It's been a phenomenal industry to be in. I got in the jewelry industry just as a fluke, trying to find something to do with my life in my earlier years. And it's been phenomenal for me. It's been just an awesome experience. So as we've been doing this for the last 40 years, and the 30 years of my own business, it's come time to maybe retire. Yeah, so when I finally made this decision, it really put a lot of things in motion. Number one, as you mentioned, I don't have any kids to take over my business. So I've built a phenomenal business. It's a great store, it's a great area, and it's one of those things where, do I just want to GOB it and call it done? And see all this work I've put in all these years just go away? And I thought, I want to pass the torch. I want to pay it forward. And I want to, I've been part of my community for a lot of years, and I want to continue that. We've got a great customer base, and it just didn't seem right to just GOB it. So I went on search for an employee or somebody to take over my store. So I put the word out through all the vendors that I know, saying I've made this decision. And I had a lot of investors call me and said, hey, I'm real interested in your store. You're real profitable. I want to be an investor in it, and I just want it to run. Yeah. And I'm thinking, that's not really what I want. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't work for me. Yeah. So then the next step was to find somebody to take over my business. Yeah. And so I went online and looked, and I did some searching, used a headhunter, which wasn't a great experience to find an employee that's willing to move to my location, work for me a year, and then work out some kind of plan to transition. So for me, I ended up on, of course, everybody knows the JHJ Jewelers Helping Jewelers channel, and I posted it out there. I got a lot of great response, and I ended up with a gal that'd been in the business for 15 years. Her husband's a jeweler, and she said she was ready. And so 2 years ago, she came to work for me. This is kind of the basic plan of what we want to do. This is what I want to get out of it. And she came on board, and we're in our 3rd year, and we're on the final lap now. And we've got everything laid out. We put a temporary contract in place, and so I wanted everything laid out so there wasn't any mistakes, or there wasn't any misconceptions on where we were going with this. Right. So for the next hurdle for me is how do I get to this chunk of money, and have a GOB and not make it look like a GOB.
Right. Yep.
So I've talked to a lot of closeout companies here, which there's 2 or 3 here that are phenomenal, and I've looked at some other options. So I'm trying to get there. She's taken over my store. She's transitioning in. We've got a great agreement where it's a win-win for both of us. And, I don't really want to do a GOB and hurt her in the transition. But on the other side, part of the deal is I've made it real easy for her. So there's going to be a lot of give and take in this part of it.
Thanks for listening to the Pearls of Wisdom Jewelry Podcast. For more information about the show, please visit southernjewelrynews.com/podcast, brought to you by Southern Jewelry News and Jewelry Store Marketers. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you can catch the next show. See you then.